Alright, live on YouTube, live on Rumble. Good afternoon, hello, welcome to This Date in History, aka TDH. I'm Alexander. That's when you introduce yourself, Ghost. Oh, okay.
Hi, I'm Ghost, and joining Alexander, and let's get to the show.
Yeah, you. Today is, what is the phrase day, aka Friday, May 1st. May 1st. It's May Day or something. 2026. This show is about interesting and important happenings that occurred today throughout the annals of recorded history, starting with, today's going to be a hefty show. We have a 57-page document today. Usually they're around 30, so we're probably going to reach an hour and a half with this show. I'm going to try to speed through all this. So we're going to start off in 305. Diocletian and Maximilian retired from the office of Roman Emperor. 408. Eastern Roman Emperor Arcadius died, leaving his son Theodosius II at the age of 7. Why can't I finger? As emperor. 418. A synod in Carthage condemned Pelagianism. What's a synod and what's Pelagianism? So I'm going to look synod up first, really quick. So what is synod? I've heard that word before. It is a council of a Christian denomination usually convened to decide an issue of doctrine, administration, or application. The word synod comes from the ancient Greek, whatever the hell this is, or synodos, assembly meeting. The term is analogous with the Latin word concilium, or council. So, all right. So right off the shoot, we're going to add this in the underbar section. So, synod. For this and any other links that we collect throughout the show, please check the underbar in the description below after the live stream, of course. And that's when they'll be there. What else do we got here, though? What is Pelagianism? Weird word. It's a Christian theological position that holds that the fall did not taint human nature and that humans by divine grace have free will to achieve human perfection. That sounds pretty cool. So, let's see here. Let's copy this. Right, one article and 2 links. That's rather unusual to occur, especially this early in the show. Moving on up, what do we got here? It's 880. The Nea Ecclesia was inaugurated in Constantinople, setting the model for all later cross and square Orthodox churches. And here's an image of that right there, artist rendition of that church, and I'm going to image search this because it's still standing to this day. Nea Ecclesia. Yeah, this is what it actually looks like. Open image in new tab. Remove that. Get rid of that. Yeah, so that's there. That's the church there. Really cool. 1006. Supernova observed by Chinese and Egyptians in constellation Lupus. Ooh, Lupus. Isn't that like a disease or something? Oh. 1048, Bishop Bernald fled St. Piers District for Utrecht, Netherlands. Why? And, Utrecht again. This city, Utrecht, pops up on this, in this history stuff a lot. 1169, Norman mercenaries landed at Banal Bay in Leinster, marking the beginning of the Norman invasion of Ireland. And here we go right there. This is, the Anglo-Norman invasion. So, and this is, all their... I guess these are different years. 1177, 1185, 1172, 1189, more 77. So, yeah. What else do we got here? 1308, Albert I, King of Germany, was assassinated by his nephew John of Swabia, the parricide, for cutting John out of his right to inherit. Oh, okay. So, in order, so you get yourself out of inheritance, and then you go and kill the person rather than try to suck up to them again to get back on the inheritance? How does that make sense? 1328, Wars of Scottish Independence and Treaty of Edinburgh, Northampton. The Kingdom of England recognized the Kingdom of Scotland as an independent state. So, yep, ending the Wars of Scottish Independence. Excellent. 1394, Eiko exercised the Zen temple and its surroundings of an old badger. Ancient Japanese theology, a lot of theologies and such believe in things like this and whatnot, but they thought that the badger had a demon spirit or something, so they exorcised the badger, got the spirit out, or something like that. I'm not sure. 1486, Christopher Columbus proposed his plan to search for a western route to India in an audience with Spanish monarch Isabella I. Full support was granted 3 years later in 1489. So 1492, Christopher Columbus sails the ocean blue. So this is leading up to that. Yep. Moving on to 1492, the Edict of Expulsion was officially proclaimed in Castile, requiring all Jewish residents to leave within 3 months. Yikes. 1544, Turkish troops occupied Hungary. Actually, I didn't need to read that. That was marked differently. 1606, Spanish Cueros expedition were the first Europeans to discover Espiritu Santo Vanuatu, although they think they have discovered Terra Australis, the southern continent, the supposed southern continent, later to be, actually discovered as Australia. 1625, Portuguese and Spanish expedition recaptured Salvador, or Bahia, from the forces of the Dutch West India Company. Excellent. These companies were terrible. 1669, Henry Morgan's raid on Lake Maracaibo, or Cabo, whatever, Spanish Armada de Barlovento was defeated by an English privateer fleet led by Captain Henry Morgan. Captain Morgan, always a good decision. Yep, that same Captain Morgan. Where am I? 1669. A lot of these are not from the primary source, by the way, so that's why you might not see them on the main screen here. I used to have this up on the main screen as well, off of main source and everything, but 1682, Louis XIV and his court inaugurated the Paris Observatory, and I'm wondering if it still exists. I looked it up. It didn't show me anything about an observatory in image search. So, 1704, Boston Newsletter published the first newspaper advertisement. Okay, so here we go. Capitalism. Before capitalism even existed, it's rearing its ugly head in 1704. Here we go. It says here, at Oyster Bay on Long Island in the province of New York, there is a very good fooling mill to be let or sold, as also a plantation having on it a large new brick house and another good house by it for a kitchen and workhouse with a barn, stable, etc. A young orchard and 20 acres clear land. The mill is to be let with or without the plantation. Inquire of Mr. William Bradford, printer in New York, and no further, end quote. So that doesn't spectacular, bedazzle the crowd, so to speak, but it's the first newspaper advertisement. It's rather dry. 3 years later, 1707, we have the Acts of Union came into force, united England and Scotland to form the United Kingdom of Great Britain. Yep, there we go. So, of course, I think the blue one is Scotland and this is England, so they form and then they make this Union Jack, and then later on, Ireland comes in, and that's why the current flag of the United Kingdom has the red X, because the flag of Ireland was a red X instead of a red cross. What else we got here? 1709, Basilica of Our Lady of Guadalupe first opened its doors in Mexico City on the site of two apparitions of the Virgin, now Basilica in the holiest church in Mexico. So this one right here, I keep pulling it out. Here we go. It's a beautiful church. I'd love to go see it. Actually, it's telling me... Actually, no, I've already done that. 1718, Spanish Catholic missionaries established Mission San Antonio de Valero, now known as the Alamo, the first of several settlements in what is now San Antonio, Texas. So, all right, back to back. We've spoke about the fall of the Alamo not too long ago, but yeah. 1753, publication of Species Planetarium by Carl Linnaeus, the formal start date of plant taxonomy adopted by the International Code of Botanical Nomenclature. Wow. Let's image search this really quick. Let's see here. Species Planetarium. You know what? Hold on a second. It's a book by Carl, originally published in 1753, as I said, which lists every species of plant known at the time, classified into genera. It is the first work to consistently apply binomial names and was the starting point for the naming of plants. Cool. So this is what it looked like right here. Yep. Cool book. What else do we got? 1756, France and Austria signed the first Treaty of Versailles Alliance, guaranteeing Austrian neutrality in war between Britain and France. And speaking of Austria and everything, just 1 year later, from 1756 to 1757, Austria and France divided Prussia. So wait a minute. How can you sit there and get guaranteed neutrality and then still have a hand in dividing things? That's not right. 1759, British fleet occupied Guadeloupe, West Indies, capturing it from France. 1760, publication of James Cook's first significant mapping effort, a new chart of the River St. Lawrence from the island of Anticosti to the falls of Requeleu, later critical to British defeat of the French at Quebec City. I'm going to image search this really quick. What is that? We're not there yet, but that we will be talking about the founding of the Illuminati. But this appears to be, like, at least part of his map or something. Oh wow, look at this. This is what they thought Australia was back in it. Or wait, is that? No. No, that's Holland. What is this? No, this has to be Terra Australis. That's Australia, because I can tell by this. This looks like Australia. The rest of this is like uncharted, and then there's like New Zealand over here. Yeah, that's Australia. Yeah, Australia these right there. So, what else do we have here? 1776, Adam Weishaupt founded the secret society of the Illuminati. German philosopher Adam Weishaupt founded the secret society of the Illuminati, according to the secondary source. 1778, during the American Revolution, the Battle of Crooked Billet began in Hatboro, Pennsylvania. And that, doesn't sound like a really good... actually, right here. British forces surprise and inflict a heavy defeat on the Pennsylvania militia led by John Lacey in Hatboro, Pennsylvania during the American Revolution. So, like, the primary source edited it. Used to say this first one here. But it almost sounded like a nothing article. I'm glad they updated it. 1795, Kamehameha the First, and not the Kamehameha Wave from Dragon Ball Z, but the freaking Hawaiian king, defeated Kalaniʻupuʻu and conquered the island of Oahu at the Battle of Nuuanu, and this is the approximate date right there. 1807, the Slave Trade Act of 1807 took effect, abolishing the slave trade within the British Empire. Good. And, I think this is the act that, it was between 2004 and 2014. I'm going to say 2004 at least. But all the way up until then, people were still paying off the debt of this act in their taxes. People don't realize, what strides have been made to end slavery. So, the slave trade here, it's not even on the primary source, mind you, for whatever reason. Abolishing slave trade thing. People who were alive in 2004, if you're in Britain, some of your tax dollars went to paying for the debt of that thing. That is phenomenal. From 1807 to 2004, that is crazy. 1820, execution of the Caddo Street conspirators who plotted to kill the British cabinet and Prime Minister Lord Liverpool occurred. 2 years later, John Philip became the first mayor of Boston. All right. And 1834, Belgian Parliament accepted railway laws. It's telling me to look that up, but I got to keep on going. So if anybody wants to look this up, Belgian Parliament accepting railway laws, what do the laws entail? Tell us in the comment section. Become part of the show, not just, watch it. Educate yourself, educate, us, educate anybody else who reads the comments. 1840, the penny black, the world's first adhesive postage stamp, was issued by Great Britain. We spoke about that the other day, and I think it was an erroneous article for the time. I mean, obviously it's correct now, but like you've seen, anybody who's been watching the show, all the articles getting shuffled about. 1844, Whig Convention nominated Henry Clay as presidential candidate for the Whig Convention in Baltimore. So a lot of people don't realize this, but the United States of America had more than just two parties at one point. It wasn't, the Democrats were first and then Republicans came later, but before either of those, there was a Whig party, there was this party, there was that party. So, 1844, Hong Kong Police Force, the world's second modern police force and Asia's first, was established. I actually have a photo of that really quick. So, these are members dressed in the various uniforms and whatnot of the police force and everything. It's pretty cool. This guy has a rifle. That guy has a saber. So, what else do we got here? 1846, Austrian explorer Ida Laura Pfeiffer, at the age of 48, began her first trip around the world, leaving by boat from Hamburg, bound for Rio de Janeiro. Cool. We also have the few remaining Mormons left in Nuevo, Illinois, formerly dedicated the Nuevo Temple. 1850, John Geary became the first mayor of San Francisco, and 1 year later, the Great Exhibition opened at the Crystal Palace at Hyde Park, London. And we have the first public flushing toilets, the monkey closets, unveiled by George Jennings as part of the Great Exhibition at Hyde Park, London. Costing 1 penny, so 1 cent to go pee in this marvel of technology. But yeah, Queen Victoria had opened the Great Exhibition at the Crystal Palace in London and everything. But this is the first public toilet. For whatever reason, they had it underground and everything. Actually, that makes sense because they had the wash basin. You can see up here, these are the sinks. So you go down here and you do your business, and you go upstairs, to ground level and wash your hands. So that way, the used water from the wash basin is used to flush the toilet. It's all gravity assisted. What else do we got here? 1852, Jacob and Wilhelm Grimm published the first volume of their German dictionary, Deutsches Wörterbuch, which is not completed until 1961. 1852 to 1961. That's 109 years, guys. Yikes. 1852 as well, the Philippine peso was introduced into circulation. All right. 53, Argentina adopted its constitution. 1 year later, Amsterdam began transferring drinking water out of the dunes. Huh? Amsterdam began transferring drinking water out of the dunes, a major urban infrastructure development. Okay. 57, William Walker, conqueror of Nicaragua, surrendered to the U.S. Navy in Rivas. All right. 1862, Major General Benjamin Butler's Union forces completed the occupation of New Orleans after facing no resistance. New Orleans, of course, being New Orleans, everybody knows it as that. Louisiana, 1863, Battle of Chancellorsville, Virginia, 29,000 were injured or died between Robert E. Lee's Confederate Army of Northern Virginia and the Union Army of the Potomac under Joseph Hooker. Here we go again, Hooker. 1863, Battle of Port Gibson, Mississippi, Union victory. Confederates outnumbered about 8,000 to 23,000. So that's pretty big outnumbering right there. Other source says during the Vicksburg campaign, Union forces under Ulysses S. Grant won the Battle of Port Gibson and established a firm presence on the east side of the Mississippi River. 1863, Confederate national flag replaced the stars and bars. What is that? We'll get to that in a little bit. So let's see their various flags here. Oh, we lost somebody. What else do we got? Oh yeah, right here. So there's the stars and bars, and then one of these where is the Confederate flag. I'm not sure. I think it's that one. So anyway, what else do we got? 1863, Confederate Congress passed resolution to kill black soldiers. Whoa. What the hell? Actually, yeah, there it is. Wow. That is absolutely disgusting. In 1863 as well, Hospital for the Ruptured and Crippled first opened its doors in New York City, oldest orthopedic hospital in the United States. Well, I've heard about crippled, but ruptured? Like, did you take a cannonball to the chest or something, man? I'd rather be crippled than ruptured. That sounds terrifying. 65, the Empire of Brazil and Argentina and Uruguay signed the Treaty of the Triple Alliance. All right. 1866, the American Equal Rights Association formed. We also have the Memphis race riots began. In 3 days' time, 46 blacks and 2 whites were killed. Reports of the atrocities influenced passage of the 14th Amendment to the United States Constitution. Yay. And for those of you who do not know, 14th Amendment. Okay. One of the most consequential, it addresses citizenship rights and equal protection under the law at all levels of government. So, yeah, I'm going to add this in here. 14th Amendment. 14th Amendment. So there you go. What else we got here? We got that one. Howard University was charted on this calendar date in 1867, so that's pretty cool. We also have Reconstruction of the South began with black voter registration. Cool. And all of these were removed from primary source, mind you, so, it might have been the erroneous dates as far as, the actual calendar date, not the year. I'm not sure. 1869, Folies Bergier opened in Paris. Telling me to look that up here really quick, so I'm going to do that. Folies Bergier. Oh, it's a cabaret music hall in Paris. Okay, that's interesting. 1873, first U.S. postal card was issued. That's what this is. 1873 as well. Emperor Franz Joseph opened the Fifth World's Exposition in Vienna, and we also have 238 members of Whiskey Ring accused of anti-U.S. activities. One of the largest corruption scandals in U.S. history. 1875. What do we got here? Alexandra Palace in London reopened after burning down in 1873. That's good. 1883. Amsterdam World's Fair opens. The International Colonial and Export Trade Expedition was held from May 1st to October 1st in Amsterdam. Cool. 1883 as well, Bob Rogers was acknowledged as the first U.S. pro sports trainer when he was hired by the New York Athletic Club. 1884, catcher Moses Walker was acknowledged as the first black Stadian to play Major League Baseball, joining the Toledo Blue Stockings. Holy Toledo! So he did not like. So what's his face did not break the color barrier. I mean, he did much later, but this was the first guy. So Moses Walker should be known as the guy who broke the color barrier, I think, right? So 1884, construction began on Chicago's first skyscraper, 10 stories tall. I'm going to look this up here really quick. Let's see here. Chicago's first skyscraper, and we've already looked at that in the first postcard. Yeah, so this right here, this is Chicago's first skyscraper. Scraping the sky at a monumental 10 stories tall at the time. 1884 as well, proclamation of the demand for 8-hour workday in the United States occurred, and 1 year later, Maria Goimi Swanberg was sentenced to life for killing 27 people in the Netherlands. Yikes. 1885, the original Chicago Board of Trade building opened for business. Okay. 1 year later, we have a U.S. general strike for 8-hour workday began. Rallies were held throughout the United States demanding the 8-hour workday, culminating at the Haymarket Affair in Chicago, in commemoration of which May 1st is celebrated as International Workers' Day in many countries. All right. So workers of the world, unite. Grab your shovels and scroop. 1889, Second International Congress called for the first International Workers' Day on May the 1st, 1890, to mark protests in Chicago of 1886 that we just spoke about. 1891, legendary pitcher Cy Young won the first game played at Cleveland's League Park. Cleveland Spiders 12, Cincinnati Redlegs 13. 1892 being that is, U.S. quarantine station opened on Angel Island, San Francisco Bay. And we have World Columbian Exposition opened in Chicago, showcasing technological innovations, original Ferris wheel, and the first moving walkway. Huh, that's pretty cool. So yeah, like that's where the very first Ferris wheel and walkway and everything. Let's see if I can find this here really quick. Yeah, that's the very first Ferris wheel. Look at those gondolas. That would have been awesome to be on. Look at the size of those. That's huge, man. Those are rooms. This Ferris wheel must have been enormous. And the very original one. I mean, look at the size of that thing compared to the people below it. Christ. My apologies. I don't mean to take the Lord's name in vain, but that thing is huge. 1894, Coxey's Army, the first significant U.S. protest march, arrived in Washington, D.C., and 2 years later, 7 days after Parliament was dissolved, Charles Tupper was sworn in as the 6th Prime Minister of Canada. Okay, why was Parliament dissolved? That's strange. Nasser al-Din, Shah of Iran, was assassinated in Shah Abdul Azim's shrine by Mirza Riza Kermani, a follower of Jamal al-Din al-Afghani. 1898, U.S. Admiral George Dewey commanded, quote, "You may fire when you are ready, Gridley," end quote, as U.S. routed Spanish fleet at Manila. So, yep, we have the Spanish-American War and Battle of Manila Bay. The Asiatic Squadron of the United States Navy destroyed the Pacific Squadron of the Spanish Navy after a 7-hour battle. Spain lost all 7 of its ships, and 381 Spanish sailors died. There were no U.S. vessel losses or combat deaths. Wow, we creamed them. 1900, permanent blast collapsed mine tunnel, killing 200 people at Schofield, Utah. So yeah, the Schofield mine disaster killed over 200 men in Schofield, Utah, and what is to date the 5th worst mining accident in United States history. 1 year later, Chicago White Sox outfielder Herm McFarland hit his first Grand Slam, or the first Grand Slam, in American League history in a 19-9 win at home against Detroit Tigers, committing 12 errors. Yikes. We have the Pan American Exposition open in Buffalo, New York, running until November 2nd. Okay. 1903, King Edward VII of Great Britain visited Paris, where he was feted in a first step toward improving Anglo-French relations, culminating in the signing of the Entente Cordiale on April 8, 1904. 1906, Philadelphia Phillies Johnny Lush, at the age of 20, pitches a no-hitter in a 6-0 win over the Brooklyn Superboss in Washington Park in Brooklyn, New York, the team's last no-hitter until 1964. So, I can't do reverse math, so hold on a second. What's 64 minus 6? 58 years. Okay, that's what I was thinking. 1908, world's most intense rainfall, 2.47 inches in 3 minutes occurred in Portobello, Panama. 1909, Netherlands began unity with Belgium. 1912, the Beverly Hills Hotel opened on Sunset Boulevard in Beverly Hills, California. 1914, Yan Suki's cabinet replaced China's provisional constitution with a constitutional compact granting the president dictatorial powers over Chinese military, finances, foreign policy, and the rights of Chinese citizens. 1 year after that, British liner Lusitania left New York for Liverpool on its last faithful journey. The 202nd and final crossing of the North Atlantic. 6 days later, the ship is torpedoed off the coast of Ireland with the loss of 1,198 lives. We will be talking about that in 6 days, and that's going to be the final straw, to break the camel's back, so to speak, to bring the U.S. into World War I. 1919, L'Ordine Nuovo, Italian socialist weekly newspaper, was established in Turin by Antonio Gramsci, Angelo Tasca, and Palmiro Togliatti. Okay, and let's not forget Benito Mussolini was a socialist newspaper editor. Probably not this one, but some socialist newspaper. British naval officer David Beatty was promoted to admiral of the fleet. Yep, of course, that guy. We also had Mount Cleod in 1919 in Indonesia erupted boiling Crater Lake, which broke through crater wall, killing 5,000 people in 104 small villages. Wow. German troops entered Munich to suppress the Bavarian Soviet Republic. Okay. 1920, legendary slugger Babe Ruth recorded his first home run for the New York Yankees in a 6-0 win over his former club, the Boston Red Sox. 20 as well, longest MLB game by innings. Brooklyn Robins tied the Boston Braves 1-1 in 26 innings. 7-4-21. You're approaching your fourth 7-inning stretch, man. With 28. 7-4-21-28, yeah. 1920 as well, Roermond Football Club, 1936, known as the KNVB Cup, was established in the Netherlands. Okay. 21, Dursian Sultan Pajda al-Asraj was elected governor of Suwaida. 21 as well, the Jaffa riots commenced over what? I want to know. Like, what were the Jaffa riots? I'm just going to do a surface level scratch over that article really quick. We are approaching a half hour, and I am making really good time. So, let's see here. You know what? If anybody wants to look this up over here, I'm going to go ahead and do that. So, World's Columbian Exposition. This is where, the Ferris wheel and the moving walkway, which I think this is the same one that moving walkway eventually became the escalators and everything. The Jaffa riots were a series of violent riots in mandatory Palestine between May the 1st through 7th of 1921, which began as a confrontation between two Jewish groups but developed into an attack by Arabs on Jews and then reprisal attacks by Jews on Arabs. Okay, so here we go again. So, Jaffa riots. If you want to read more about that, that'll be in the underbar section below. Moving on up, 1922, Charlie Robertson of the Chicago pitched a perfect no-hit, no-run game against the Detroit Tigers. He was a White Sox. 23, Adolf Hitler and Ernst Röhm attempted to break up socialist May Day demonstrations, inviting Nazis from as far away as Nuremberg to take part in the violence. Yikes. 24, German automobile manufacturers Daimler, Motoren, Gesellschaft, and Benz & C began their first joint venture, later to merge into Mercedes-Benz. 24 as well, Sun Yat-sen established the Republic of China Military Academy on Shangzhou Island in Guangdong. First classes were held on June 16th. 25, Cyprus became a British Crown colony. 25 as well, future Baseball Hall of Fame catcher Jimmy Fox made his MLB debut at 17 years old for the Philadelphia A's. Pinch hits a single 9-4 loss versus Washington. We also have the All-China Federation of Trade Unions was officially founded. Today, it is the largest trade union in the world with 134 million members. That's a lot of members. 1 century ago, in 1926, Baseball Hall of Fame pitcher Satchel Paige, at the age of 19, debuted in the Negro Southern League for Chattanooga. Awooga, Chattanooga. And this was 26. Where are you? Come on. There you are. There you are. We also have British coal miners went on strike. Over what? Question mark. How long? Question mark. How long? Question mark. There we go. Imperial Airways in 1927 was the first British airliner to serve cooked meals. Pretty cool. We covered yesterday how it was the first, not this airline, but some other airline was the first airline to boil water for tea on aircraft and everything, and coffee, I think. 28, Pitcairn Airlines, later Eastern, began service. Okay. 28, 6 children died and 10 were injured by hailstones in Klausenburg, Romania. That's very unfortunate. Yep, 28 as well. Drunken fascist Eric Wickman attacked Vara radio transmitter. Wow, that's weird. Oh yeah, it was a socialist one. So 1928. Where is it? Where'd it go? Yeah, here we go. Fascist Eric Wickman attacked socialist transmitter while drunk. So yikes. Lay Day began, or Lay Day, I guess, a Hawaiian celebration. So happy Lay Day out there, everybody. You know, I say this to everybody, like, you know, to anyone out there, like, you know, who has said, like, oh, Xander, blah, 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 you really need to get laid. If I want to get laid, I'll go to Hawaii, get those flower necklaces, you know, the lays, you know, they'll be fun. 28, Rotterdam Soccer Club Black and White 28 was established. 2000 Women's KNVP Cup. Declared bankrupt later in 2004, though. So, 29, farm workers' strike began in East Groningen, Netherlands. Why? Hours? You know, for how long? So, for wages, hours, how long? Question mark. Question effing mark. 129, or 1929, police killed 19 May Day demonstrators in Berlin, injuring an additional 250 more. That's terrible. The 7.2 MW Corpet Dag earthquake shook the Iran-Turkmenistan border region with a maximum Mercalli intensity of 9, or violent, killing up to 3,800 people and injuring an additional 1,121 others. 1930, the planet Pluto was officially named by 11-year-old English schoolgirl Venita Burnry. Other source says Pluto was officially proposed for the name of the newly discovered dwarf planet, Pluto, by Vesto Slipher in the Lowell Observatory Observations Circular. The name quickly caught on. There's this whole thing, though, like in the same year as Pluto was discovered, the dog Pluto, you know, from Mickey Mouse's dog, Disney and all that stuff, like there's a whole conspiracy involving those two, so I don't know. 31, the Empire State Building opened in New York City. It was the world's tallest building until the World Trade Center in 1970. So yeah, I've been up on the top of the Empire State. So, 31, Norway claimed uninhabited Peter I Island, the Bellingshausen Sea near Antarctica. Yeah, or in the Bellingshausen Sea. 31 as well, singer Kate Smith began her long-running association with CBS Radio. Various programs continued until 1945. 14 years. That's secure right there. 32, first Suriname Union Congress was held in Paramaribo. Okay. 34, Austria signed a pact with the Vatican. What did it entail? Why is Austria signing a pact with the Vatican, and why is this removed from the primary source? 34, Philippine legislator accepted U.S. proposal for independence, the Tidings-McDuff Act. Philippine legislator accepted the U.S. proposal for independence. This was later realized in 1946, 12 years later. So I guess we had to fight a war first. 34, actually, yeah, that makes sense, because 34, Japan would be doing something about the Philippines. Like, they would eventually take it, and then we'd have to take it back, and then we would give them independence. 34, the Water State Kingdom dismissed NSB leader Anton Musertz. Water State Kingdom, what? I'm going to look this up here really quick. What is a Water State Kingdom? Like, you know, is it the Avatar now or something? What's going on? Why won't you search? Come on. So, here we go. Well, this is telling me about Anton Musertz. Water State Kingdom. There you go. Well, now it's telling me about what hydraulic empire. What the hell? What is this? What? Also known as hydraulic despotism, hydraulic society, hydraulic civilization, or water monopoly empire. Whoa. Okay, well, this is rather relevant with today's world, with how's everything going. So, hydraulic empire. I'm going to add this link in the underbar section. This is a unusual find. I'm going to save that for later reading. 1935, Canada's first silver dollar was circulated, featuring King George V, which, by the way, I'm going to bring this up again to those of you who do not know about Roman numerals. Like, you know, we all know about 1, 2, 3, you know, but then 4 is IV, you know, and then 5. You want to know why? Because 1, 2, 3, and then, you know, 4 is whatever, but 5, that's the 5 right here, V, 5, you know? So, Roman numerals are literally based off of your hand. 1936, Ethiopian Emperor Haile Selassie left Ethiopia as Italy invaded. And we have FBI's J. Edgar Hoover arrested gangster Alvin Creepy Karpus. You gotta be a creep to earn that name, Creep. You know, he must have been a really creepy guy. 37, U.S. President Franklin Delano Roosevelt signed the Neutrality Act banning travel on belligerent ships and imposes an arms embargo on warring nations. 39, Batman first appeared in Detective Comics number 27. We all know them as DC Detective Comics. Versus, you know, not to be confused with Direct Current and all that stuff. So, Batman. So, have you ever seen, let's see, Batman, but it's just man. Like, somebody went and just edited the intro. So it's just, yeah, it's just man. So, 1940, 140 Palestinian Jews died as German planes bombed their ship. Yikes. That would do it. 41, Citizen Kane, Rosebud, directed by Orson Welles and starring himself, Joseph Cotton and Dorothy Horningor, premiered at the Palace Theater in New York City. We also have General Mills introduced Cheery Oats, later renamed Cheerios, in 1945. It was an oat-based, ready-to-eat cold cereal. 41 as well, U.S. savings bonds went on sale to help finance the war effort. You know, you need money. 42, Radio Orange called to defy order to wear Jewish star. So Radio Orange, or Orange, urged listeners to defy the Nazi-imposed order requiring Jewish people to wear the Star of David. Yes, fight the power. 43, first edition of Illegal the Free Artist appeared in Amsterdam. I wonder what that is. Sounds like some kind of newspaper or something. 43 as well, food rationing began in the United States during World War II. And we have German plane sunk the British ship SS Ehrenpura in the Mediterranean with a loss of 799 lives. That was 43. Where'd it go? Yep, there it is. 43 as well. German Wehrmacht deployed in order to break Dutch strikes. And we have SS General Hans Albert Rauter announced that all Jews will be removed from the occupied Netherlands. That is terrifying. Do I have any comments here? Nope. Okay, moving on. What else do we got here? 1944, Messerschmitt Me-262 Sturmvogel, the first jet bomber, made the first flight. Yeah, like that's, you know, like freaking the Nazis during World War II were terrifying. Like, you know, yeah, they had incredible, technological advancements, but they didn't have much of it. And Hitler, thank goodness, was too dumb to recognize like how good jets were. Between that and you know, apparently viewing nuclear science as a Jewish, you know, thing, his idiocy and hate is really, you know, what kept them. You know, they were, if he was just a shred less dumb or less hateful, we'd all be speaking German right now. It's really scary. 45, about 1,000 citizens of Denman in Germany committed self-deletion provoked by occupation by Soviet Red Army. Other source, though, says up to 2,500 died in a mass self-deletion because of that. 45, Admiral Karl Donitz formed the German government. And we have General Belgian Labor Union, ABVV, formed. Where'd it go? General Soviet Army field. Okay, we're not there yet. This is supposed to be in here. Why are you off of, you're not on the primary source anymore. What the hell, man? Ow. Anyway, what else do we got here? 45, Radio Budapest, Hungary re-entered shortwave broadcasting after World War II. Okay. We have a German newsreader in 45 officially announced that Adolf Hitler had, quote, fallen at his command post in the Reich Chancellery, fighting to the last breath against Bolshevism and for Germany, end quote. Obviously bullshit. The official story is he self-deleted. I think he made it to Argentina. So the Soviet flag, though, was raised over the Reich Chancellery by the order of Stalin. And that's there's a famous image here. So, right there. So, actually, let's see here. May 2nd. It's actually tomorrow. So, that's why it's removed from the thing. So, we're going to be talking about this again tomorrow, I believe. So, Loons time! 1946, Field Marshal Bernard Montgomery was appointed British Supreme Commander. And what an idiot this guy was. We also have Miss Emma Clarissa Clement was named American Mother of the Year by the American Mothers Committee of the Golden Rule Foundation of New York. 46 as well, start of the 3-year Pilbara strike by Indigenous Aboriginals in Western Australia for better wages and conditions. Yes. Fight. Fight for your right to survive. 46, the Paris Peace Conference concluded that the islands of the Donau should be returned to Greece by Italy. If you can pronounce this word better than I just did, by all means, go for it. 47, Cleveland Indians abandoned League Park, a venue for weekday games, to play at all MLB games at Municipal Stadium. We also have radar for commercial and private planes were first demonstrated. And we have Portella della Ganesha massacre, May Day celebrations in Sicily by the bandit and separatist leader Salvatore Giuliano, where 11 persons were killed and 33 were wounded. 48, Glenn Taylor, Idaho senator, was arrested in Birmingham, Alabama for trying to enter a meeting through a door marked for Negroes. So, yeah, it's terrible. 48, Pope Pius XII published encyclical Asperita Quaenam, calling for public prayers for world peace and for a resolution to the problems of Palestine. Yes, not Israel, Palestine, until Israel, freaking invaded. We have athletics. Elmer Vallo in 1949 was the first American League Baseball player to hit 2 bases-loaded triples in a game. No idea what that means, and I wish Loom was here to educate me a little bit, but whatever. Gerard Kuiper discovered Nereid, second satellite of Neptune. Also second largest moon, too, of Neptune's. 1950, Gwendolyn Brooks was the first black Canadian awarded for the Pulitzer Prize for the poetry of Annie Allen. All right. Mayor of Brussels reluctantly banned May Day parade. The traditional, it was a traditional thing. Not banning it, the parade is traditional. 50, new marriage laws were enforced in the People's Republic of China. What do they entail? 51, 600,000 people marched for peace and freedom in Berlin, Germany. And future Baseball Hall of Fame slugger Mickey Mantle hit his first career home run in an 8-3 win versus White Sox in Chicago. Manny Minoso homers in Sox debut. 52, Mr. Potato Head was first introduced by toy company Hasbro. We also have TWA, the Trans World Airlines, introduced tourist class. And no, this is not transitioning World Airlines. This is like transporting, world. Not the trans we know today. It's a different trans. 52, U.S. Marines took part in an atomic explosion training in Nevada. They got to learn what to do in the case of nuclear war. Bishops in 1954 published Mandament or Member Socialist Org Forbidden. So Dutch Roman Catholic bishops published an episcopal mandate forbidding membership in the Socialist Trade Union. And this was where? 54? There it is, right there. We also have HSA UWC, or the Unification Church, was founded by Sun Myung Moon in Seoul, also known as Moonies. I guess because of, the guy's name, Moon. 54 as well, the Hudson Motor Car Company merged with the Nash Kelvin Corporation to form the American Motors Corporation, AMC. Not to be confused with the movie theater AMC. 55, future Baseball Hall of Fame pitcher Bob Feller tossed his record 12th one-hitter in Indians' 2-0 win versus Boston Red Sox at Cleveland Stadium. We also have showgirl Linda Lawson was crowned Miss Q in the atomic pageant after the Operation Q test was repeatedly delayed by high winds. So they were going to have an atomic explosion behind her and everything? That would have been cool. 56, a doctor in Japan reported an epidemic of an unknown disease of the central nervous system, quote-unquote, marking the official discovery of Minamata disease. Yikes. The polio vaccine developed by Jonas Salk was made available to the public. We've been talking about that a couple of times. 57, Larry King made his first radio broadcast on station WAHR in 1490 AM channel in Miami Beach, Florida. 57, U.S. gave Poland a credit of $95 million. And Vanguard TV-1 booster test reached 195 kilometers or 121 miles an altitude. So whatever that is, it's a booster, so I guess it's boosting the signal or something. I'm not sure. 1959, West Germany introduced a 5-day work week. Cool. 1960, India's Bombay state formally dissolved as the states of Gujarat and Maharashtra were formed. Soviets shot our spy plane down here in 1960. They shot down Francis Gary Powers' U-2 spy plane over Soviet Union. This guy. Remember a couple days ago I was talking about some astronaut or whatever, and I said Neil Armstrong, but it was some other guy. It was this guy. He died in a helicopter crash, you know, because he was going to be a whistleblower or something. They killed him. So, you mean, you know, he's the guy. He's the first guy to break the sound barrier intentionally. And you mean to tell me he's going to die in a helicopter crash? I mean, 61, the first U.S. airplane hijacked to Cuba, National Airlines Convair 440. And Fidel Castro declared that there will be no more elections in Cuba, saying, quote, the revolution has no time for elections, end quote. So, yep. He proclaimed it a socialist nation and abolished elections. Pulitzer Prize was awarded to Harper Lee for her novel To Kill a Mockingbird. Great novel. 61 as well, Tanganyika granted full internal self-government by Britain. Yep, the Tanganyika gained independence from the UK and joined the Commonwealth. Cool. 1962, first French underground nuclear test in the Sahara at Acre, Algeria. And JFK authorized Area Redevelopment Act, the ARA. 1963, Gloria Steinem's expose, A Bunny's Tale, on the working conditions for waitresses or bunnies at New York City's famed Playboy Club, published in Show magazine. Yeah, this freaking creep, may rot in hell. 63, Indonesia took control of Irian Jaya, West New Guinea, from the Netherlands, and Jim Whittaker became the first Stadian to summit Mount Everest. Alright, congratulations. 64, first BASIC program ran on a computer at Dartmouth College. And what is BASIC? You know, let's look that up here really quick. Surface level scratch of that article. Dartmouth BASIC was the original version of the BASIC programming language. It was designed by two professors of Dartmouth College, yada yada yada. So if anybody wants to know more about Dartmouth BASIC, this link will be in the underbar section after the live stream. We also have 1965 Battle of Dongyin, a naval conflict between ROC and PRC, the Republic of China and the People's Republic of China, respectively, took place. 65 as well, Stanley Cup Montreal Forum, Montreal, Quebec. Dick Duff, what a name, had a goal and 2 assists as Montreal Canadiens defeated the Chicago Blackhawks 4-0 in Game 7 to take the title 4-3. We also have 66, the last British concert by the Beatles at Empire Pool in Wembley, London. And U.S. troops shooting targets in Cambodia. The United States attacked Cambodia for the first time in the Vietnam War, thus expanding the surface area of the war. 69, 43 unification church couples wed in New York City. That's pretty cool. That's off of main source here, though. We also have children's educational... where is it? Children's educational something. Here we go. Television host Fred Rogers, Mr. Rogers, don't you want to be my neighbor? Testified before U.S. Senate Subcommittee on Communications to secure funding for creation of PBS. So he had a hand of the creation of the public broadcasting system. Fred Rogers, man, a freaking hero to humanity. This guy was so loving and so full of just humanity. We need to take a page out of his book, make a whole novel out of it. What else do we got here? 1969, trucking magnate Leonard Tossi bought NFL Philadelphia Eagles for a professional sports record of $16.15 million. That's quite a lot of bit of millions of dollars right there. Where did it go here? Do they no longer have it on this article? No, there it is. Okay. 70, Vietnam War protests erupted following the announcement by Richard Nixon that the U.S. said South Vietnam forces would attack Vietnamese communists in a Cambodian campaign. 1 year later, Amtrak Railroad began operations with its first train run from New York City to Philadelphia. So Amtrak, the National Railroad Passenger Corporation. So that's what it stands for, Amtrak. Okay, took over operation of U.S. passenger rail service. There we go. 72, radio's Mutual Black Network premiered as the first national full-service network aimed at black stadiums. Okay. 75, and I'm going to... Actually, it's not even on primary source. I'm going to move this over here so you can read this. The Sarkanemi Amusement Park opened in Tampere, Finland. Okay. 76. Empress Lily, replica of a paddle steamer, was dedicated at Walt Disney World in Florida. 1 year after that, 36 people were killed in Taksim Square, Istanbul, during the Labor Day celebrations. 77. U.S. golfer Debbie Austin won the Birmingham Classic, the first of 5 LPGA Tour victories in a 4-month span. That's more than one a month there. That's crazy. U.S. golfer Gene Lidler won the Houston Open, his 29th and final PGA title. Awesome. 78. First black stadium mayor of New Orleans, Ernest Nathan Morial, inaugurated. Okay. Jackie Chan's breakthrough film Snake in the Eagle's Shadow, directed by Yuen Wu-ping, was released in Hong Kong. Let's not forget that Jackie Chan is a Chinese Communist Party sympathizer, and he got his just desserts. I think the CCP took one of his houses or something because he affiliates himself with Round Eye. So I'm not sure, but yeah, like there's things out there of Jackie Chan publicly supporting the CCP's genocide on Uyghurs and whatnot. So 1978 as well, Naomi Umera became the first to reach North Pole overland alone. That's crazy. Yeah, it was a Japanese person, Naomi Umera. Awesome. 79, British pop superstar Elton John performed for the first time in Israel. Oh, you mean Palestine? Kicking off a mini tour of 5 shows in 6 nights. Why can't I finger count here? 79 as well. Home rule introduced to Kalalit Nunat, Greenland. Greenland's Home Rule Act was introduced, transferring responsibilities from Denmark to Greenland. Great. Marshall's Islands of the Pacific became self-governing from the U.S. with the adoption of its constitution. They became independent. Awesome. 1981, Harrison Williams, a senator, a Democrat in New Jersey, was convicted on FBI abscam charges on all counts of bribery during the FBI abscam sting operation. Yikes. That was 81. That's not them. This guy here. 81 as well. Radio Shack released Model 3 TRS DOS 1.3, or TRS DOS 1.3 of the TRS 80 Model 3. Okay. Tennis player Billie Jean acknowledged that she was a lesbian, okay? Hold on a second. Having a struggle reading this. Tennis player Billie Jean King acknowledged that a lesbian relationship with Marilyn Barnett. Okay, it's just written weird. Becoming the first prominent sportswoman to come out. Alright, cool. Congratulations. Nobody gives a shit what you do behind closed doors, lady. 82, World's Fair in Knoxville, Tennessee, open to a crowd of 87,000 people. 84, Mick Fleetwood, drummer and leader of Fleetwood Mac, filed for bankruptcy. That's not good. 1985, it used to say it in quotes right here, communist bomb attack killed 2 firemen in Brussels. So communist combatant cells, Triple C, bomb attack on the Federation of Belgian Enterprises killed 2 firefighters in Brussels. May you rest in peace. 85, U.S. President Reagan ended an embargo against Nicaragua. That's good. 86, Russian news agency TASS reported Chernobyl nuclear power plant mishap. About time. Eos time! 1987, Pope John Paul II beatified Edith Stein, a Jewish-born nun killed in Auschwitz. Yikes. 88, after scoring 50 points in Game 1, NBA Eastern Conference Playoff Series, Michael Jordan has 55 in Chicago Bulls' 106-101 win versus Cleveland Cavaliers in Game 2, first to score 50-plus points in consecutive playoff games. 89, 135-acre Disney MGM Studio theme park officially opened to public in Lake Buena Vista, Florida. 89 as well, U.S. jockey Chris Antley's record 64-day consecutive winning streak ended when he failed with 5 mounts at Aqueduct, New York. Streak included 147 winners from 486 mounts. 1989 as well, Price Waterhouse versus Hopkins. U.S. Supreme Court ruled employers have legal burden to prove non-discriminatory reasons for not hiring or promoting. I agree. We have Tim Berners-Lee working at CERN submitted his initial proposal for the World Wide Web, www, website URL and everything. 1990, Craig Lucas stage drama Prelude to a Kiss moved to the Hale and Hayes Theater, New York City, running for 440 performances. 91 as well. A's outfielder Ricky Henderson stole all-time MLB record 939th base in 7-4 win versus New York Yankees in Oakland. I agree with him with his face. Not bad. Pretty good. 91 as well. Angolan Civil War ended. And I know this for a fact because it talks about it on the other source. So for whatever reason, on their primary source, they removed it. So I guess the leftist source here does not give a shit about the Angolese. But the MPLA and UNIT agreed to the Bikis Accords, which were formally signed on May 31st in Lisbon. Okay. 91 is Skin Split Skin, featuring lesbian, homosexual, and heterosexual nude couples caressing, was seen by 5,000 people in New York City. Thank goodness I wasn't one of them. I don't need to see that shit. 91, Texas Rangers starter Nolan Ryan pitched MLB record 7th no-hitter, defeating Toronto 3-0 at 44 years old. Ryan is the oldest to throw a no-hitter. You know, David Rush out there, if you're watching, here's a record for you to beat. 92, Eric Houston killed 4 at a California high school where he failed history 4 years prior. You know, some people just, can't let things go. 92, Los Angeles Dodgers postponed 3 MLB games due to racial riots over the infamous Rodney King baiting. Oakland outfielder Ricky Henderson stole his 1,000th MLB career base in A's 7-6 win in Detroit. And we have 1993, bomb attack on Sri Lankan president, 26 people died. The Sri Lankan president, Ranashini Premadasa, was assassinated along with 21 others by a Tamil Tiger suicide bomber in Colombo. Carried out by the Liberation Tigers of Tamil Eelam. 94, between now and the 3rd, tornado and hailstorms hit Jiangxi, China, killing 95 people. Although other source says tornadoes and hailstones hit the Fujian province in South China, causing flooding and killing 86 people. So we have a discrepancy there. Charles Kurot, a U.S. journalist, or U.S. broadcast journalist, 94, at the age of, on the road, retired from CBS after 37 years. All right, there we go. I almost screwed up there for a second. 1993, 3-time World Formula One Drivers' Champion Ayrton Senna of Brazil was killed in a 309-kilometer-an-hour crash while leading the San Marino Grand Prix at Imola in Italy. Rest in peace. 95 as well, future Australian cricket captain Steve Waugh scored career best 200, including 231 partnership with brother Mark, 126th and 4th Test win over West Indies in Kingston, Jamaica. 95, Montreal Canadiens lost 2-0 at Buffalo to miss Stanley Cup playoffs for the first time in 25 years. That's a long time. Miami Heat beaten 112-91 to Chicago Bulls to be swept 3-0 in round 1 of NBA Eastern Division playoffs. First time in its 14 years as head coach Pat Riley ousted in the opening round. 97, Tasmania became the last state in Australia to decriminalize homosexuality. Crikey. So I wonder what the Tasmanian Devil has to say. Something like, you know, if you ever watched Looney Tunes. 1999 animated series SpongeBob SquarePants, created by Steven Hillenburg, debuted on this channel, but I'm not going to read that out loud because this word in Latin means something horrible about involving God, and I don't want to say it. You know, even with knowledge of saying it and not meaning it, I don't even want to say it. It's disgusting. But I had a friend who was in the Air Force for a little while, and the military canters, left, right, left. Well, they use literally anything for canters, and at one point, apparently, he suggested SpongeBob SquarePants, who lives in a pineapple under the sea. SpongeBob SquarePants is perfect. Crazy, huh? 1999 as well, the body of British climber George Mallory was found on Mount Everest 75 years after his disappearance in 1924. Yikes. 2000, Gladiator! Are you not entertained? Are you not entertained? Directed by Ridley Scott and starring Russell Crowe and Joaquin Phoenix, premiered in LA. Best Picture of 2001. Yep. 2000 as well, Barry Bonds was the first MLB player to hit a homer in the San Francisco Bay as the Giants defeated the Mets 10-3. Hit 35 there during his San Francisco career. And I wonder if he still has those records because he got stripped for juicing or something, maybe. 2000 as well, Italian tenor Andrea Bocelli sung for Pope John Paul II in Rome. Yeah, my mom loved his music. He was a great singer. A blind opera artist. So that's why his eyes are closed. 2001, President of the Philippines, Gloria Macapagal-Arroyo, declared existence of a state of rebellion after thousands of supporters of her arrested predecessor, Joseph Estrada, stormed towards the presidential palace at the height of the ETSTA 3 rebellion. That sounds terrifying. 2002, Padres closer Trevor Hoffman set MLB record for saves for one team, 321, in a 4-3 win versus the Chicago Cubs in San Diego. Which is, of course, if you ever watched the movie Anchorman, apparently is Spanish for a whale's vagina. 2003, what became known as the Mission Accomplished speech, U.S. President George W. Bush declared that, quote, major combat operations in Iraq have ended, end quote, on board the USS Abraham Lincoln, off the coast of California. And everybody remembers this silly little picture here. You know, mission accomplished. Hello, look at me. I'm W, man. You fucking idiot. 2004, Cyprus, Czech Republic, Estonia, Hungary, Latvia, Lithuania, Malta, Poland, Slovakia, and Slovenia joined the European Union, celebrated at the residence of the Irish president in Dublin. That's a hell of a lot of countries there. 2004, Giants outfielder Barry Bonds set MLB record for being intentionally walked 4 times in a 9-inning game during a 6-3 defeat of Florida in San Francisco. Yep. 2005, 17-year-old Lionel Messi scored his first senior league goal for FC Barcelona in 2-0 win against Albacete Balamapai at the Spotify Camp Nou in Barcelona. 1 year later, the Puerto Rican government closed the Department of Education and 42 other government agencies due to significant shortages in cash flow. That would do it. 2007, Christopher Hitchens published his bestseller, God is Not Great, making a case against organized religion. I'm never going to read that. This guy even looks like an idiot. I don't know. Well, I should read that. That's not fair. I should read it. I don't agree with it right off the bat, but don't judge a book by its cover. But that title, though, is very dissuading. 2007, the Los Angeles May Day melee occurred, in which the Los Angeles Police Department, the LAPD, response to a May Day pro-immigration rally became a matter of controversy. 1 year later, 2008, the London Agreement on Translation of European Patents, concluded in 2000, entered into force in 14 of the 34 contracting states to the European Patent Convention. Okay. 2009, Carol Ann Duffy was appointed British Poet Laureate, first Scot and woman laureate. Okay, and also apparently a member of the Alphabet Mafia. Okay, who cares? Same-sex marriage was legalized in Sweden, 2009. Cool. 1 year after that, Canadian singer Bryan Adams was given the Governor General's Performing Arts Award for his 30 years of contributions to the arts. Excellent. Car bomb failed to go off in Times Square, New York City, in an attempted terrorist attack. Thank goodness. It says here, though, other source, Faisal Shahzad attempted to detonate a car bomb in Times Square, but the bomb failed to go off. So that's the guy's name, if you're interested. It's from the other source. That's why I always say, utilize multiple sources and not just doctors you need a second opinion from. 2011, Pope John Paul II was beatified by his successor, Pope Benedict XVI, and China and Russia signed a $15 billion trade deal 1 year later. 2012 as well, Guggenheim Partners made the largest ever purchase of a sports franchise after buying the Los Angeles Dodgers for $2.1 billion with a B dollars. 2013, a digital camera was created that can mimic insect compound eyes. I have to look that up here really quick. I'm trying to rush through. I know we're over our hour, but I'm making really good time here. Oh, that's cool. So this is what the camera looks like. Okay. That's wicked. What else do we got here? 2014, hundreds marched through Nigerian capital calling for the release of schoolgirls abducted by Islamic militants Boko Haram, who oppose Western education. 2015, Expo 2015 opened in Milan, Italy, closing on October 31st, Halloween. 2017, the Smashing Pumpkins singer Billy Corrigan agreed to purchase the National Wrestling Alliance, NWA. Not to be confused with Homies with Attitude, a different NWA. 2017 World Snooker Championship, Crucible Theatre. Sheffield Englishman Mark Shelby defended title, defeating John Higgins of Scotland 18-5, his third world crown. 2018 Chinese authorities labeled British cartoon Peppa Pig as subversive and was removed from the Douyin video website. Freaking China, of all places. Liverpool's Egyptian forward Mohamed Salah became the first African player to be named the Football Writers Association Footballer of the Year. Nice. And Scotland was the first country in the world to introduce a minimum price on alcohol. Of course, Scotland, of all places. Actually, you think it'd be Ireland. Between Scotland and Ireland. Ireland stereotypically drinks more, but yeah. Violence, May Day protest in Paris by far-left Black Blocs group results in 200 arrests. Yeah, you know, these people are always incredibly violent and hateful and just smooth-brained. We have the Syrian Civil War. The Syrian Democratic Forces, SDF, resumed the Deir ez-Zor campaign in order to clear the remnants of the Islamic State of Iraq and the Levant, the ISIL, also known as ISIS, the Islamic State, from the Iraq-Syria border. 2019, Argentine forward Lionel Messi scored twice for his 600th goal for Football Club Barcelona in a 3-0 win, home win over Liverpool in a Champions League semi-final. 2019 as well, evidence revealed that early humans, here we go, from ancient Denisovanan species lived at high altitudes on the Tibetan Plateau 160,000 years ago. Naruhito officially succeeded his father Akihito as the Emperor of Japan, and the latter abdicated due to ill health, beginning the Rereida period. And wasn't this Akihito the son of Hirohito? His father Hirohito, who was the wartime emperor, during World War II and everything. New York City officially named a street Sesame Street at the intersection of West 63rd Street and Broadway in honor of the show's 50th anniversary. Two-time South African Olympic champion runner Caster Semenya lost appeal against proposed rules to limit her testosterone levels, medically reducing levels the only way to continue competition. Yeah, stop pumping yourself up full of crap. UK Defense Secretary Gavin Williamson was fired over leaking information about Huawei deal from a UK National Security Council meeting by Theresa May. WikiLeaks co-founder Julian Assange, History of Mankind, sentenced to 50 weeks in jail for breaching his bail conditions in Lisbon. So yeah, Julian Assange and Edward Snowden are two modern-day heroes of humanity. Not just one country, not just one people, but to everybody. In my book, at least. Naxalite attack in Gadishwara district in India. 16 army soldiers, including a driver, were killed in an IED, improvised explosive device, blast. Naxals targeted an anti-Naxal operations team. 2020, armed protesters against stay-at-home orders gathered at the state capitol in Lansing, Michigan, as Governor Gretchen Whitmer reinstated state of emergency. Canadian Prime Minister Justin Castro announced a ban on 1,500 types of assault-style weapons in response to recent Nova Scotia shooting. You fuck. 2020, prison riot left more than 40 people dead and many injured in Los Llanos jail near Guanajuato City in Venezuela. Tweets by Elon Musk saying Tesla's share price is too high wiped $14 billion off the car maker's value. That's a whoops. 2021, India was the first country to record more than 400,000 new Kung Flu cases in one day, at 401,993 to be specific. 2022, first of two sets of human remains revealed by receding Lake Mead, the U.S.'s largest reservoir near Las Vegas, likely linked to mob activity in the 1970s and 80s. Yikes. So they're finding people's bodies down there. There it is. We also have Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov said Adolf Hitler had Jewish blood in an interview in Italian TV, prompting outrage from Israel. Well, he did have Jewish blood, you know? I mean, like, how else is Israel doing what they're doing to Palestinians if they're not related to Hitler? I mean, the existence of Israel makes Hitler win. He wanted to get all the Jews out of Europe and put them into somewhere like Madagascar. He didn't want to kill them all. That was Himmler's idea, you know? So... 2023, Geoffrey Hinton, the godfather of AI, resigned from Google to speak out about the dangers of AI, eliminating jobs and creating a world where many may, quote, not be able to know what is true anymore, end quote. Yeah, that's, you piece of shit. fucking this guy here. You made it, you asshole. You know, you ruined the world. U.S. White House estimated Russia has lost 100,000 troops so far in the 2023 Ukraine invasion, with 20,000 killed, half of those losses from Wagner mercenaries. Yikes. And last but not least, the 2024 Loblaw boycott and Canadian boycott against retail corporation and grocer Loblaw companies began. So spread the word, learn your things, and fight the evil. And that shall conclude the show. Once again, please check the end bar of the description below for any links that you may find interesting, including but not limited to all things Omni Coalition. A lot of history has and continues to be made on a daily basis. I brought you the majority actually today of this 57-page script. So I'd say 85 to 90%. I went over, actually. So, it is up to you to find the artifacts of our history, but only if each individual reaches out with and for open mindfulness, where they yearn to learn, to see outside what you think you know, to grow, and find enlightenment. We have to find common ground with those who see their opinions differently from our own, and find a better way to be better to one another. For your dose of Passive and Daily, we stream at 5 p.m. Pacific Time, 6 Mountain, 7 Central, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, respectively. For all of you and all of us, I am Xander. We had Ghost in the show earlier today, and of course, you viewer are you. Thank you so much for coming in, whether it was live or at some point in the space-time continuum. A view is a view, and I appreciate it regardless. Doing one last check for comments, nothing. So, anyway, until you catch us next time, whenever that is, wherever that is, don't forget to look right and left at every intersection, rate 5 thumbs, and subscribe. Toodles!